Aloha mai kākou, a Komomati Curtain Call, a program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. Baldwin Theater Guild and Baldwin Performing Arts Learning Center are presenting Rodgers Hammerstein's Cinderella. Directed by Linda Carnevale with music direction by Tana Larson and choreography by Kathleen Schulz, this Cinderella is beautiful to look at and a fun night at the theater with stellar performances and some fine singing. Since 1957, when it premiered as a made-for-television show to 107 million viewers, 60% of the U.S. population, at the time the largest TV audience in history, starring Julie Andrews, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, has been performed on screen, film, and stage, finally landing on Broadway in 2013, where it ran for nearly 2 years. The version that you will see is the 1997 Disney film with Brandy as Cinderella, Whitney Houston as the fairy godmother, Whoopi Goldberg as the queen, and Bernadette Peters as the stepmother. This version opens with the fairy godmother, Sheila Sanchez, singing to us "This is Impossible," for a plain yellow pumpkin to become a golden carriage, for a plain country bumpkin to join a prince in marriage, etc. Then we switch to the town center where Cinderella, Analea Calder, is waiting for her family, stepmother Kiana Kaina, stepsisters Grace, Miley Libonati, and Joy, David Alapai, and becomes distracted. She sings the sweetest sound. The prince, Tennyson Takahama, is slumming, disguised as a commoner. He is entranced and also sings the sweetest sound. He meets Cinderella, and they have a moment, which is interrupted by her family's return, and she must take on her responsibilities as their servant. Lionel, Victoria Gonzalez, the palace steward, announces the prince is giving a ball, which causes the family to explode into paroxysms. And here we get the first big number where choreographer Kathleen Schulz gets to work her magic of turning non-dancers into exacting, entertaining, performing ensemble. They return and we learn that stepmom wants one of her girls to get the prince because money doesn't come from a bank, it's inherited. Cinderella longs to go to the ball and retreats to her own little corner where she entertains her mice, EL middle schoolers Itziak Herpiel Ferreira, and Malia Grundy, and McKenna Gunwack, who is a Baldwin student, and the Dove EL Middle School 8th grader Asher Flores. I must say, they were adorable. We meet the queen, Evangelina Villa, and the king, Larton Amor, who has forgotten to put on his trousers. They inform the prince that they want an heir and have invited all the eligible maidens of the kingdom to a ball. The prince isn't happy about this. They insist, and Lionel brokers a compromise. If the prince doesn't find someone at the ball, he can marry whomever he wants. The two then do a reprise of the sweetest sound, she in her little corner and he in the palace garden. The family is dressed for the ball and Cinderella comes out with her mother's gown on, which her stepmother ridicules and asks her what makes her think she can go. They find that laughable. Indignantly, she shows them the invitation for all eligible women. Cinderella seeks solace in her late mother, who is portrayed as a tree. Her fairy godmother shows up and tells her this is impossible until Cinderella takes responsibility for her destiny by planning how to make her dream possible. And then the fairy godmother works her magic. The mice become horses, the dove her horseman, the pumpkin a carriage, and her rags a gorgeous gown. But there is a time limit on the magic, and she has to depart before the clock strikes 12. That is when everything will return to as it was. The ball is a heady affair with every woman in the kingdom lined up for a chance at the elusive brass ring of royalty. The moments with the girls and the stepmom are uproarious. The prince is ready to call it a night when in comes Cinderella, making a grand entrance, and the prince is instantly taken. They dance. She is the belle of the ball. Later in the garden, she and the prince sing how their lives were changed 10 minutes ago. The stepsisters observe this and wonder why would a fellow want a girl like her in the sisters' lament. The prince and Cinderella are in bliss until the clock strikes and she realizes she must flee, leaving behind her glass slipper. Will the prince find his lost love? Can anyone else in the kingdom fit that glass slipper? You can find out by heading out to H.P. Baldwin Auditorium for tickets to this terrific, stylish, and upbeat show. As Cinderella, Ms. Calder is dreamy, charming, and determined. She is not going to wait around for any prince to sweep her off her feet, and she's not going to put up with being perpetually abused by her adopted family. The night I saw the show, there was a sound problem, but Ms. Calder never allowed it to deter her and was completely unfazed by it. She demonstrated exceptional poise under difficult circumstances. She was completely beguiling, and you thoroughly understood why the prince was the one swept away. Master Takahama's prince is thoughtful. He believes in love and doesn't want to accept less for the sake of his royal background. There was real chemistry between he and Ms. Calder, and their kiss was one of the high points in the show. Also, their duets on the reprise of The Sweetest Sound 10 minutes ago, and especially on Do I Love You Because You're Beautiful, remind us of the greatness of Rodgers and Hammerstein. The family trio are played for laughs all the way. They are not so much cruel as selfish and narcissistic. Miss Kina's stepmom doesn't care which one of her daughters gets the prince, but it better be one of them so she can enjoy the luxury life. She is a marvelous character and one we don't fear but laugh at and with. Speaking of funny, Ms. Libonati and Master Alapai are like a forgotten Hollywood trope, the straight man and the dope. Here I am, showing my age. Like Lucy and Desi, Abbott and Costello, or Tommy and Dickie Smothers. When Ms. Libonati makes an insulting comment about Cinderella, Master Alapai invariably thinks she is commenting on his behavior and proceeds to defend himself to the delight of the audience. Their singing is another high point in this show. Ms. Sanchez creates a saucy, statuesque fairy godmother who has attitude with a capital A. She is down to earth and one you don't want to mess with. Her message is clear. Magic will happen when you do for yourself. She shines every time she steps on the stage, and she so knows how to take focus. Then there is Lionel, a part that was written for Jason Alexander for the 1997 film. Ms. Calder is so at home on stage, you cannot tell she is acting. She knows who this character is, and she understands what her place is in the hierarchy. But she is more than a servant. Robert Friedman, the screenwriter who tweaked Hammerstein's book, has created a character that is key to pushing the plot forward, and Ms. Calder is more than up to the challenge. Master Amor and Ms. Villa make a regal couple, and I recognize that dress. Linda Carnevale needs to be commended for putting this terrific show together with gender-bending casting and unique staging that broke the fourth wall, and for assembling such a great tech team to bring this production to the stage, especially the projections. Bravo! The music was all singing. The instrumentation was provided by Trax. Ms. Larson gets the credit for that part of the show. The soloists and the ensemble did very nice work. The set design by Amy Lord moved the show along nicely, and the projections added tremendously to the pacing and the beauty of this show. Kathleen Schultz performed double duty on this show as choreographer and costume coordinator. There are not accolades superlative enough to appreciate what her contributions are to any show she is part of. Ms. Sue Ann Loudon was present to be the props coordinator. How great is that? Cinderella continues Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 2 at the H.P. Baldwin Auditorium on the campus of Baldwin High School in Wailuku. The box office opens 45 minutes before curtain, and the house opens half hour before the show. It's general seating, no reservations. Adults $12, seniors $10, and students 12 to 17, $7, and children under 11, $5. Go out and support these hardworking, talented young people. You will enjoy yourself. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Paul James Brown. Ahui ho!